It's time for Reason.
Because now we're introducing the one thing that we have that can actually change the mentality of the people that we're trying to influence, and that is capitalism. We can change their diplomacy. We can change their leaders. We can overthrow the dictators. We can try and quote-unquote free the people, but unless the people know what to do with that freedom, they're lost. The one way that we can change things is introduce capitalism.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. You finally made it, my friends. Broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation. Here in Wichita, Kansas, on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM, simulcasting on TV, KGPT TV, channel 2610. What's up? Welcome in. It is the Voice of Reason on it's a Friday. Let's do it. We do it every single week. It's up to you. Usually the rest of the week I set the topics. We talk about some fun goodies, but today I sit back and you run the show. What's on your mind? Come on. Let's do it. It's our Free-for-All Friday. The way we roll every single week. We love it. Waking you up the best way. Welcome in 316-721-8255. 316-721-TALK. If you want to join into the program, I'd love to hear from you today. We are live on Facebook Live, facebook.com/1480KQAM. You can like it, share it, leave a comment, ask a question. Does not matter what you want to do on there. We just love the conversation, love the dialogue. Even if you want to get on there and just call me a jerk, I don't really care. It's okay. I'll still feel all warm and cozy the fact that you at least reached out to me and just wanted to let me know about your emotions. Because today, I am your political therapist. Today, you get to vent about whatever issues there are. And I tell you what, there are a lot of issues in the world. There are a lot of things that a lot of people are very offended about. Oh, mon Dieu. We need to be concerned about their offensiveness. There are a lot of things in the world that just don't make any sense in any way, shape, or form, but to some, they apparently do, or at least they pretend that they do. As you know, this weekend is a Father's Day weekend. We've had Mother's Day just a few weeks ago. Now we have Father's Day. We get to enjoy both sets of parents, the mother and the father. In a traditional family household, that's usually the way that predominantly it is, and the way that we like to embrace traditionalism, because a child, in order to, for the proper upbringing in many traditionalist opinions, is that we actually have one mother and one father, and that they need that motherly figure along with that fatherly figure, and together that we raise a wholesome, happy, traditionalist style individual to be able to approach the world with the motherly instincts, yet the fatherly instincts, all at the same time. You get that soft, nurturing mother along with the hard-nosed, very strict, very stern type of father. And together, you have that happy blend of what a child grows up with when it comes to their mentality. Now, as you know, we'd like to celebrate everybody. I mean, we are the most patriotic show, and there's a patriotic holiday. Yesterday was Flag Day. It was a very great holiday. I hope you got to wave your flags very, very proudly. We've had 4th of July. We get St. Patty's Day, which, of course, is one of the best holidays of the entire year. But then we, of course, have Mother's Day, and Mother's Day is extremely important. I don't know if anybody has ever gone after or attacked a Mother's Day celebration. Not that I'm aware of, but I don't know if they do. But Father's Day, just like Christopher Columbus Day, just like 4th of July, just like others, they always have to find something to nitpick about it, and it's happened again already this year. Should Father's Day be banned because it's disrespectful to single mothers and same-sex couples? Is the story that pops up first thing this morning. Of course. It's Father's Day weekend. You're about ready to get out the grill. The guy is going to do his manly, guily thing, like kiss his wife very passionately, go and have a shot of whiskey, smoke a cigar, and go and shoot something with very large guns. It's Father's Day weekend. You can do whatever the hell you want to in that sense. But according to some news sources, and of course mostly predominantly liberal progressive news sources, should Father's Day be banned because it's disrespectful to single mothers and same-sex couples? So I don't remember hearing stories like that when it's Mother's Day. Of course not, because it's Mother's Day. And, of course, the women are extremely important in our lives. But then, of course, the progressives take that to the next level of saying that they're the only type of gender that we apparently should have. And then Father's Day, no, we should not celebrate Father's Day because Father's Day is all about the heterosexual male that is filled with testosterone and that needs to get rid of its masculinity. And how dare that you try and be an actual manly kind of father. And we should ban Father's Day because it's disrespectful to single mothers. What about single fathers? What about single fathers? Father's Day is celebrated worldwide to recognize the contribution that fathers and father figures make to the lives of their children. This day celebrates fatherhood and male parenting. Although it's celebrated on a variety of dates worldwide, many countries observe this day on the third Sunday in June. Anyone who condemns the celebration Father's Day is a hypocrite feminist who all their time are busy demeaning and degrading men. That's according to Quora.com, but there are many others that actually do not like this in any way, shape, or form. So I want to do something different this year as we celebrate Father's Day, which we will talk about more about this. We have Natasha coming on the show in the 8 o'clock hour talking about some of the Father's Day gift ideas. If you're one of those moms or if you're one of those wives or if you're one of those children that's looking for that perfect Father's Day gift. We will talk about some of that in the 8 o'clock hour. And also, by the way, City Council member Brandon Johnson from District 1 will be joining us in studio for a bit at 8:30 as well, as we have not talked to him really on the air since the election. So looking forward to getting him in studio. So anyways, that's the guest lineup. But today what I want to do on a free-for-all Friday is have a little fun with it. And I want you to call in, and I want you to talk about the crazy, absurd story that your father has done. I mean, come on. Every father has done something crazy, has done something off the wall, good or bad. I mean, I'm talking about silly things that they've done. You know, the dad that's the Homer Simpson of the family, the Peter Griffin of the family, that maybe there was a slip up sometime. It would be a fantastic story. Or if you just want to do that heartwarming story of your father as well. My dad was always my baseball coach through Little League. My dad was always involved in a lot of stuff that I did, and it was a lot of fun. So that's the kind of conversation I want to have today. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. We talk about the family values as we try and raise the young generation, because as you become a parent, which really explains a lot with the progressives that don't like to take responsibility for themselves, they don't like to take personal responsibility. Being a parent, you have to have a lot of responsibilities. You really do, which is why they would like to out themselves and not have a whole lot of responsibility, because they know they're not ready for child and for the fatherhood or motherhood or just parenting altogether, which, you know, I guess it's kudos to them that they're trying to think about not being prepared for it yet, but they should probably take some more responsibility in that sense on what actually creates the babies. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. We'll have the birds and the bees talk at later times. But with a progressive side of the aisle that does not take responsibility of anything, really, they don't like responsibility. They don't like people telling them to have responsibility. They like to be without responsibility, which is why they really like the government holding their hand and walking them through their entire life with free goodies, with universal health care, with the fact that they can do whatever they want to. And then if they get sick, they can go to the doctor and get it treated, and they don't have to cover it. They don't have to worry about this. And they don't like responsibility. And because of that lack of responsibility, now we see many of the children, again, not all, but many children that are growing up without parents because they're pretty much trying to be buddy-buddy, still living in the party ages of thinking that they're 20 years old as opposed to being 30 or 40. And as they're going about that, they try and make their kids to be nice little friends with them rather than actually being parents. The children never get that parenting figure, that motherly figure, that fatherly figure, and look at what we see today. These are the ones, by the way, that are eating the Tide Pods and snorting the condoms. These are the ones that are having a little bit of trouble figuring out what realism is. They're the ones that are supporting the Bernie Sanders movement. They're the ones that are believing in universal progressivism because they don't like anybody that does not have the same view as themselves, and they don't like anybody that doesn't feel that being lovey-dovey means giving everything to the government for redistribution and then taking care of the quote-unquote poor through the government. I'm telling you, these are the ones that have not had the proper, or maybe they're just rebelling in some sense as well, which is a case too. But many of these are the ones that just haven't had that grounding foundational work as a child with the parenting. which is why Father's Day is so important, which is why Mother's Day is so important, which is why just being able to appreciate the parents that you have is so important. So that's what today's all about, and you can tell your stories if you'd like to. 316-721-8255. Let's start off today with a phone call. Line number 1. Let's go to them, shall we? Good morning. What's your name?
Scott.
Hey, good morning, Scott. How are you, sir?
Well, I know they put a lot of atrazine and fluoride in the water for the public to drink, but to anesthetize them. But some of us still have a few brain cells left, and we know that America houses more people in prison than any other country. And so anybody coming here from a foreign country who breaks the law naturally will also be put in prison or jail. Now, whenever somebody here in the United States put in jail or prison, they're automatically separated from their family. So whether they have 2-year-old kids or 15-year-old kids or whatever. So now for someone to think that they can come here and break the law and not be separated from their kids and think that's a defense, I mean, they got
another thing coming.
Well, yeah, exactly, because they got 2 million people here in the United States who are separated from their kids right now. So, I mean, if that's a defense, they need to let them all out first and then worry about these illegal foreigners.
Well, you're right. I mean, and this goes right into, if we want to tie it into the fatherly figure, into the parenting figures, I mean, if you're going to be a good parent to take care of your children, it's not, and we talk about the responsibility of it as well, it's not okay to play the victim because we come across the border and break the law, and then we get separated from the family because you get arrested, and then say, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you separated my family because I'm trying to take care of my children by breaking the law. And you're right, we incarcerate a lot of people, and I know that's a big discussion because people say that, well, we can't be incarcerating as much, we can't be a lot of people in jail for ridiculous things, but we're breaking the law. And when you break the law, if you have children, then that does not make you necessarily the best parent because you're breaking the law, which means you know that you're probably going to get in trouble for that, which means your children are going to get the repercussions of that. We have to remember, again, personal responsibility.
But now that's part 1. Now part 2 is, let's say some of these people are allowed over here. Like I guess they had somebody had like 19 people or whatever. Now as soon as they get over here, they're going to want to work. Well, if they work, they automatically want to send money back to wherever the country they came from. Well, that means that they left some relatives there. And if they left relatives there, they need to be sent back because that would be separating their family.
Sure.
Because if you have family there that you're sending money, you need to go back to them because otherwise they're going to blame the government here for separating their family. So you can't come in the country because that would make the government responsible for you separating your family again.
And then, of course, they blame the government because it's the government's fault and evil Republicans, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, Democrat, Republican, either one, they'll blame somebody.
That they do.
Families.
That they do. Scott, I love it. Appreciate the call, my friend. And actually, it's the perfect segue. I'm glad you did bring that up because it does tie into the responsibility of parents. Let me ask you something. If you are trying to do better for your family, then why would you put yourself in a situation where you could potentially get in trouble and be separated from your family, whether it is being deported or whether it is going to jail or whatever it is? Why would you put your family, if you really cared about the family, if you really cared about the family unit, if you really cared about being a parent to your children, why would you put your family in that type of situation? It goes back to the DACA recipients that we've talked about so many times. And we talked about what was the story up in Overland Park, Lawrence, that area, the professor, the biologist that got separated because he had been here since a child, 20, 30 years ago. And now he's got a family of his own. All of his siblings that are the same age as him that are 30, 40 years old, whatever he's at right now. All of his siblings, all of his brothers and sisters, they got their naturalization papers. He did not. He's still on visas. His visas expired twice. He was undocumented. He got arrested. He got shipped away. Oh, can't break up the family. Can't do that. Well, can't be separating the family like that. He's got a family. He's got children. How could you possibly talking about separating him from his family? He's just providing for his family. Why didn't he get naturalized? Well, it doesn't matter. He was on a visa. Okay, his visa expired. Why didn't he read it? Well, he's in the process of. Okay, he's had 20 years to take care of this matter. DACA recipients. You got to remember, DACA recipients are not 12-year-old children any longer. DACA recipients are ones that are now 30 years old and have their own families that came here, yes, out of their control when they were children 20 years ago, but now they're 30 years old and they have families of their own. Do you really honestly think that you can just let something slide like that for 20 years and not address it and then play the victim and say that it's not your fault later on when you get caught? Really? You've had 20 years to rectify the situation, and now you're going to blame somebody else. The victimhood status of society drives me up the wall today because no longer do we take responsibility of your own actions. And if you're going to be a parent, if you're going to be one of those DACA recipients that are now 30, 35 years old, 40 years old, and you have a family of your own, and you are trying to play the victim card of, please don't separate my family. Please don't split up my family. I got kids now. Why didn't you think about that? Why didn't you think about that so that way you didn't have to put your children through something like that? But it's always the victimhood status. It's never your fault. 22 minutes past the hour. It's a perfect segue because when we come back, there's been a letter written by some of our state legislators trying to advocate for Congressman Kevin Yoder to not split up the family on the southern border. Why that has to do with our state legislators, not quite sure, unless they're trying to defend the ones here in the state of Kansas. But we'll read that letter and we'll talk about that when we come back. Your thoughts and calls as well. Lots to get to today on a free-for-all Friday. There was a video that I saw on social media yesterday of an individual who has left the progressive mentality and left the left, so to speak, and he explains why. So we may air that video and talk about it. Plus, I still have been wanting to talk about California a little bit as we talk about DACA and immigration and some of the stuff that they're doing. California, kind of a really unique situation right now that a really wild idea has been addressed onto the ballot for people to vote on in California. Is it a good idea, bad idea? I do want to touch on that and get your thoughts on it as well. So lots to get to today. It's going to be a free-for-all trying to wrap up the week as there's a lot of things that happened that we still have not been able to talk about. Plus, we'll get all your phone calls today. The memories of your dad on a Father's Day, good, bad, or indifferent, the silly things, the shenanigans that they'd like to pull. Was your dad a prankster? Was your dad a jokester? Was your dad a goofball? We'd love to hear all those kind of stories today. Getting ready for Father's Day. 23 minutes past the hour on a Friday. Stay right here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Minutes past the hour. Bottom of the hour news coming up in just a minute. By the way, just to remind you, today is the day, speaking of Father's Day, today is the day we get one more individual registered for the Ultimate KQAM Father's Day giveaway. We'll run down all the list of goodies that you're going to get in that one. Plus, by the end of the 8 o'clock hour, we will announce the winner of the Ultimate KQAM Father's Day giveaway, brought to you by Roden Roofing, rodenroofing.com, along with Auburn Hills Wine and Spirits in Goddard. We appreciate those guys partnering up with us on this giveaway. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we will do that in the 8 o'clock hour. But we have to register one more person. Stay tuned. We may do it in the next segment. We may do it in the 7 o'clock hour, but we will be doing that very shortly. Stay tuned in. More information coming up on that one. Your phone calls when we come back on a Free-for-All Friday, plus some of the state politicking that we always love to discuss. This is The Voice of Reason on a Friday. Stay right here.
Andy never shies away from a fight.
Just you try it.
Oh, I'll try it.
Just you try it.
You'll feel it when I try it.
I'd like to see you have at it.
Would you now?
And now's your chance to jump in the ring.
Are you insane?
Give Andy a call at 316-721-8255. This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
There it is. We haven't had anybody actually call in and debate with me for a little bit. Please do. I'm itching. Especially on a Free-for-All Friday. I'd love to be able to talk to you on a free-for-all. What's on your mind today? Waking you up the right way. Interpret that one however you'd like to do so. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. If you want to join in, you're more than welcome to do so. Facebook Live is up and rolling, by the way, as well. Facebook.com/1480 KQAM. Let me ask you a question. What message are you sending when you say that it's all the emotional touchy-feely? We don't want to separate a family. We don't want to separate a family. And on the traditional Father's Day weekend with the grilling, with the barbecue, with the camping or the hunting or the hiking or the outdoor stuff or the work or the rest or the whatever you do on Father's Day, whatever you do on the holiday, what message are you sending when you get so emotional that it does not matter what somebody does to not punish them for it? Or to not say, hey, you know what, you need to be held accountable for your actions. You need to be held responsible for what you... I don't know if we're aware or not, but there is still something called a cause and effect. There is still something called that. It does happen. Thousands nationwide, according to KCTV5.com, thousands nationwide will be participating in a movement to stop the separation of families at the U.S. border on Thursday. Meaning, I think they did that yesterday, but it may be, I'm sure there's going to be more coming up. And one Kansas lawmaker is feeling the pressure to demand an end to the issue. Democratic State Representative Jared Ousley of Merriam and Republican State Representative Linda Gallagher, which if you know anything about Linda Gallagher up in Lenexa, not the most conservative individual. She's been on the list of Kansas state reps who has been very wishy-washy on many issues, has voted on the wrong end of the aisle, in my opinion, on many issues, but still a Republican. But they are doing the bipartisan, I love the bipartisan bill. Yeah. In order to write and deliver a letter that they did on Wednesday of this week to Republican State Representative Kevin Yoder's office in Overland Park, his state office. It urged him to demand the U.S. Department of Homeland Security stop the separating of families. Yoder is the chairman of the U.S. House of Representatives Appropriations Homeland Security Subcommittee. He said in a statement that he is, quote-unquote, heartbroken by the separation and is working to find a solution. Here's the solution. I don't know why we need to find a solution, because here is the solution. It's a very simple solution. It's a solution that was created a long time ago in many galaxies far, far away. The solution is don't break the law. It's a crazy concept, isn't it? It's a crazy concept. So I know that we've actually had some individuals that have debated we and had a different opinion on this. If you don't feel that we should be separating families, quote unquote, that we should be taking a different approach to this, what is the different approach? I want to know, what is the alternative to if you break the law and we punish you for it? If there's children involved, then yeah, you get separated from your children. What is the alternative? What's the alternative for someone who feels like going onto the street and shooting somebody to be separated from their family? What is the solution to someone who goes and robs a store and gets caught and goes to jail and they have children and they're separated from their family? What is the solution? Who commits bank fraud or wire fraud or commits any type of fraud or does an underground ring or is distributing drugs or distributing human trafficking or whatever, and they have children and a family? How do you go about, what is the alternative to not break up the family? Why is this now the issue? It's almost like the gun issue, to where they try and attack it at different angles and they try and find a way to get in, and they haven't been able to do it yet. They try and go for the magazine capacity, and they go for the high velocity firearm, and they go for the assault rifle, and they go for the really scary looking guns, and they go for the the ones that are the war guns, the weapons of war, whatever that means, because we use handguns in war too, so I'm not quite sure exactly what that means. But they try and do it at different angles, and then they try to do the slapping on the taxes and the fees in order to make it too expensive for people. And then like Deerfield, where they're trying to openly ban assault rifles, which, by the way, if you've been listening to Armed American Radio, which we air at 8 o'clock at night with Mark Walters, you know that the Second Amendment Foundation won the lawsuit to say law enforcement in Deerfield, Illinois is not allowed to come out and start rounding up guns in that community. They're not allowed to do so. Unconstitutional. Second Amendment Foundation won that one. Hooray! We're actually moving some ground in a positive way in that step. But they try in all different angles trying to approach it, and now they're openly just saying, yeah, we hate guns and we're going to repeal the Second Amendment. That's what their argument is. Not going to happen. It's quite cute, But at least they're, open and honest about what they actually want to do. So when it comes to crime, when it comes to immigration, what is the alternative? Because they're going to try every different little angle to try to approach this. Oh, it's heartless to say that they don't get the American dream by just not opening the borders. Oh, wait, we have borders. Yeah, but we shouldn't enforce them. We shouldn't abide by that. We should just to make it non-border-ish, and we should just be able to go back and forth the way that we want to when we want to. Okay, doesn't make any sense, but sure, let's give that a try. Then you have now you're tearing apart the family. You're heartless. You're unemotional. You're a terrible human being because you want the family to be separated. The question I have is, why are state legislators in the state of Kansas doing this to Representative Kevin Yoder? Why are we writing a letter in the state of Kansas for this? Does it mean that we have many individuals in the state that we know about that we could be concerned about having the family split apart? Is it the example that we had from Lenexa or Overland Park or that Ariel Lawrence of that biology professor who had the visa expired and had his family torn apart? I mean, we don't have necessarily that many DACA recipients in the state of Kansas. We have some. And by the way, we are still accepting and receiving in-state tuition for many of these illegal aliens to be able to go to college for an in-state tuition rate. But nonetheless, there's overall percentage-wise of the population, there's really not that many. There's really not a whole lot. So why is this a big issue that our state legislators are trying to write a letter to our U.S. Congressman with Kevin Yoder and saying, hey, you should probably make that stop, eh? Why? What's the alternative? Right now, the progressives, with their campaign tactics, with the Democrats running against Republicans, what campaign tactics do they have? What agenda are they promoting? What alternative ideas do they actually have? That was the issue with the Republicans a few years ago when the Democrats had the majority, remember? We were asking, what is your plan? Well, we're going to stop Obama. Okay, what is your plan? What's the alternative? Well, we're going to stop Obama. Really? Let's actually have a plan. We're not only going to stop them, but this is what we're going to promote. This is what we're going to do. And as you can tell, they didn't really have that idea actually in mind and actually formed because now we're in the leadership and we don't know what to do. We don't have an agenda we're pushing right now other than Donald Trump, and half the Republicans are trying to block what Donald Trump's doing. So why are we trying to obstruct at the statewide level here? What's the agenda? What's the end goal? Why would state representatives in Kansas want to actually push this type of agenda? Unless they're concerned. They're trying to come up with some type of obstructionist agenda. They're trying to actually have some type of campaign to run for an election with. Because that's all they have. We don't like what Republicans are doing. We don't like what Donald Trump is doing. We really don't like what some of the gubernatorial candidates are doing on the Republican side. We're going to try and stop that, and we're going to set ourselves away from that. Even as a Republican, like State Representative Linda Gallagher, that says, yeah, we probably shouldn't tear families apart. And if you do, then you're probably a heartless little jerk. It doesn't make any sense to me. If you don't want to separate the family, come up with an alternative. And I'd love to hear the response on it, what the alternative actually is. Let them do their thing. Let them openly break the law. Sure. We're a heart-filled, lovey-dovey kind of country. You can do whatever you want to here, right? You got rights. You got freedoms. This is what we're up against. They don't care. They have no agenda. They have no alternative. They have no options. They have no goal themselves. They just want to obstruct, and they're very good at obstructing. Because once they get into it, they know their agenda. They know exactly what they want to do. They just won't tell it to us because they know that it's a bad policy. They know that we're not going to be for it. They know that we're not actually going to endorse it or go for it because it's a bad policy. But they do it anyway. So instead of actually telling us that, they've done what they've done for a very long time on the progressive side of the aisle, is be very sneaky by being very closed and just talking about the scarecrows, building the scarecrow and attacking the scarecrow rather than actually attacking the issue directly. They go about it in a very different way, get everybody all fired up, everybody all upset, go about their agenda. They get into power, and then look at where we're at. Look at the last years of what Barack Obama had done. And the Democrats. And the Republicans that pretended to be obstructionists but weren't really obstructionists. Look at what they accomplished. This is the goal of the progressives, even at the state level. We have to be very careful and cautious because even the state level has its shenanigans going on, and our state representatives, for whatever reason, feel like it's a good idea to be able to try and make this an issue in the state of Kansas. 316-721-8255. I'm almost wondering if this is going to be some type of back-end attack on someone like Secretary of State Chris Kobach with his going after the voter fraud in the state of Kansas, trying to stop illegal immigration in the state of Kansas, trying to not be a sanctuary state in the state of Kansas, trying to not have in-state tuition for illegal immigrants, and that whole argument, because apparently, as you know, just by default, he must be one of those guys that's just a racist and hates everybody coming across the border. It must be that. But if you remember, Wichita itself is the number one human trafficking location in the entire country because we're directly north of the border and they can disperse from here. We have massive drug trafficking in the Wichita area. We have massive, I don't know about gun trafficking. I'm assuming so if we have human trafficking and drug trafficking. I'm assuming there's some type of firearm trafficking here because we're an easy access point, which means immigration is an issue that we should be addressing in the state of Kansas. If you get busted as an illegal alien with a family who's doing one of those things, should we not be separating the family? Doesn't make any sense to me. 316-721-8255. Your thoughts on this? I found it ironic and interesting that we have a bipartisan bill. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. In order to try and stop the separation of the family. Is it heartbreaking? Absolutely it is. But I'm not upset of the process that's separating a family. I'm upset of the individual that thought that they needed to break the law and then not be separated from their family, and then they play the victimhood, and then many just fall into that whole mindset of, oh my gosh, I can't believe you separated the family. You're a heartless jerk, when we really should be promoting the fact that, hey, don't break the damn law and then you won't actually be separated from your family. It's a really easy, simple concept, but it's something that some apparently just can't get behind. Got to take a break. Wrapping up hour number one. Lots more to get to. This is The Voice of Reason.
You're listening to The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
7 minutes to the top of the hour, wrapping up hour number one. Welcome back into The Voice of Reason. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. As you know, today's not just a Friday, but it is a free-for-all Friday, meaning everything that's on your mind. I am your political therapist. Let's go ahead and work through it together. But it's also today, by the way, as you know it, Fried Chicken Friday, brought to you by the Inman Harvest Cafe, 112 South of Main Street in downtown Inman. 620-585-6925. Visit them 112 South of Main Street, right in downtown. Katie's back on the line with us. Katie, how are you today?
Good morning, Andy. Happy Fried Chicken Friday.
Happy Fried Chicken Friday.
Woo!
I can smell all the greatness coming down from Inman already today. It's going to be a beautiful day. Again, it's been hot lately. Holy cow.
I know.
And I'm sure you guys are rocking it up there and just enjoying that and soaking it up.
It's perfect harvest weather. So harvest is in full swing up here. Wheat harvest, and it's really the perfect weather for it because, you know, it's a little bit humid in the morning. Well, it's humid all day, really, but the wheat dries, you know, by 9 you can get in the field and start cutting. So,
sure.
So that's great. You know, a lot of when I was a little girl, one of my earliest memories is helping my grandma get field meals on for the guys out in the field. Like she'd have the whole 9 yards laid out on the table that she takes out to the field, and she'd even put a tablecloth on it, you know.
I love it. I
don't know why, but anyway, a lot of our fried chicken buffet is inspired by, you know, events like that, you know, where you want to put on a great meal for people who work hard.
Sure. It's the American way,
do.
and that's what you do.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the American way. They can take a break from the field, come on in. Today's the day. If they're going to do that, today's the day to do that. You got the buffet from 11 to 1, and enjoy yourself from there. 5 to 8 o'clock, the big buffet tonight. So what's on the slate for today?
So today, because it's hot, we're trying to avoid using the oven as much as possible in here. It's true. So we're going to have, this is great, we're going to have baked beans.
Yeah.
We're going to have little Salisbury steaks with the mushroom gravy sauce over top of it and the grilled mushrooms and onions. So we're having that. And then we're also having chicken fajitas. So that'll have the seasoned chicken. It'll have onions and peppers that are fire roasted, and then we'll put that out there with our homemade salsa, some sour cream, and tortillas. You can make it up yourself. So those are the things. And besides that, in the evening, from 5 to 8, we'll have our famous roast beef out there. That's always a given. So.
Fantastic! Yeah. I tell you what, that's a heck of a lineup right there. I just the idea of fried chicken and baked beans together just sounds so good today.
It's a great combo. It really is. It really melds together. And then you take those little crumbs at the bottom of the chicken pan. You get. And you put them on top, and those are chicken sprinkles. That's what I like to do. That's
what I'm talking about. And here's my dorkiness: is you get it, and you get the fried chicken and the baked beans, roll it up in a tortilla, and then that just makes it even more awesome.
Put a little salsa on it.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. I love it. So very good. So you got the great lineup there, and then of course the 5 to 8 o'clock tonight with that buffet, you do have the free slice of pie. You got to make sure to snag that pie as soon as you get there, because that slice that you're eyeing may be gone by the time you get seated and you get all your great food. So what kind of pies do you have lined up for us today?
So we got a bunch of kind of different ones today. We've got coconut, which is always there. Chocolate mousse pie, real fluffy, Oreo cookie cream cheese, which actually legally I'm not allowed to say Oreo, so cookies and cream, blueberry cream cheese, peanut butter, custard, cherry, and peach, and he's working on a banana split right now.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Making it happen.
Lots of pies.
I love it. Lots of pies, a wheelbarrow to get you out of there and to your vehicle sold separately outside of the venue. Got to make sure and get it up there today. It is the free-for-all. It is the Fried Chicken Friday. You got to get up, got to enjoy it, because I know that especially if you're out harvesting, this is the time to kind of take a break and enjoy, as you mentioned, that great style dinner to keep you rolling throughout the weekend with all your crazy projects you have going on.
That's right.
That's kind of the way to do it. I love it. Katie with the Inman Harvest Cafe, 112 South of Main Street in downtown Inman. Check out their website, inmanharvestcafe.com, or just give them a call, 620-585-6925. Katie, we love it. Have a great morning. We'll check in with you here in a couple hours.
All right. Sounds good. Talk to you then.
Always a pleasure there. Brought to you by the Inman Harvest Cafe. We appreciate those guys very much partnering up with us right here on the Voice Read and on the KQAM airwaves. Got some calls on the line. Stay tuned. We got to wrap up hour number 1. It's open line, so as soon as we come back for hour 2, we'll kick off with your phone calls with whatever's on your mind. I do want to revisit some of this splitting up the family with the immigration policy, the state legislators actually wanting to work on that. Plus, there's a new letter, and I got to give credit to the Wichita Eagle and their editorial with Ron Estes v. Ron Estes on what to look forward to with that election coming up for the 4th congressional seat. We'll talk about that in just a bit as well. Plus some great guests in the 8 o'clock hour. More information on that. And next hour, we will register our last candidate for the Ultimate KQAM Father's Day giveaway. All that and more on a busy Free for All Friday. Stay here.
It's time for Reason.
Because now we're introducing the one thing that we have that can actually change the mentality of the people that we're trying to influence, and that is capitalism. We can change their diplomacy. We can change their leaders. We can overthrow the dictators. We can try and quote-unquote free the people, but unless the people know what to do with that freedom, they're lost. The one way that we can change things is introduce capitalism.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
That's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason, hour number 2 of the Voice of Reason, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation right here in Wichita, Kansas, on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM, simulcasting on TV, KGPT TV, channel 2610. What up? Welcome in. It's great to have you along today on a day, well, the day that we've been looking forward to all week long. It is a Friday. Meaning today's your free-for-all Friday. Whatever's on your mind, bothering you, troubling you, you run the show, you run the topics. Today, I just sit back and enjoy. Let's go ahead and do it. Come on. All right. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. If you want to join into the program, we'd love to hear from you today. Phones are lighting up. We'll get to you here in just a second. Leave me a message, by the way, on Twitter at Hoosier Reason. Facebook Live feeds running as well, facebook.com/1480 KQAM. For a free-for-all Friday, let's jump right to the phone lines as they are all lit up, all four lines right now. So let's go ahead and go to those. Line number one. Good morning. What's your name?
It's Wallace.
Wallace, how are you, sir?
Doing well.
Good.
So, yeah, these children that are being separated from their parents, first of all, it seems to me that these parents drag their kids through, deserts, subject them to heat, to rape gangs, to all kinds of violence and danger. And for some reason, we don't want to do anything when they get here. We can't separate them. But by God, if you're an American citizen and you put your kid in a car and you leave him in there for 5 minutes while you run into the store, we're going to separate you from your kid. And I got to tell you, I watched the Sarah Huckabee Sanders press briefing, and they had people verbally assaulting her on this issue.
Sure.
And I got to tell you, instead of her, she sat up there looking like a deer in the headlight, and she's just like, well, that's the law. And
that's the law. What else do you say with that?
Well, I'll tell you what you do. You be a little proactive and go out and you get some photographs of kids separated, illegal alien children, kids from back in the Obama days. Just go get 4 or 5 of them. Go and get 4 or 5 of them of American citizen children whose parents are in prison. And then you sit here and say, hey, Jim Acosta, you see this person here? Yeah, this kid was separate, and this one, and this one. And then you turn to this one here. Well, and this child's parents and this child's parents, they're in prison in the United States. Now, the only difference is when Obama did it, you didn't care about the children. You had no complaint. Now, these other children, these are American citizen children whose parents are in prison. Are you a hypocrite, or are you advocating that we should put children in Rikers Island and Pelican Bay so they can be with their parents amongst murderers, rapists, and pedophiles?
No, here's what I think. Here's what I think is that they need to cover up a little bit because their desperation showing just a bit. They're recognizing the fact that Republicans are actually doing some successful things, that Donald Trump is being successful, that we're seeing the economy where it needs to be. We're seeing him to bring, at least a discussion to a little bit more peace throughout the world with North Korea. We're seeing him actually fulfill his agenda by taking the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem when it comes to Israel. We're seeing him actually get unemployment rates low. We're seeing him get regulations up. We're seeing the entire legacy of Barack Obama get reversed in what took Obama 8 years to accomplish. We've reversed 80% of that in a year and a half, and he is livid. The Democrats have no leg to stand on because they want their universal health care. They want the open borders. They don't want to actually build the wall. They don't want the economy to be doing so well. I mean, you've heard some of the comments from the different late night hosts talk about how they would rather have the economy be destroyed and people lose their jobs and everything be terrible, so that way they would have an argument to get rid of Donald Trump. But that's not what's happening right now. So the desperation is the only thing that they've ever had is an emotional argument to come back and say, oh, you know what? Look at that. Republicans are heartless because they're ripping families apart, and that's not okay. That's the only thing they have. They got nothing else.
Well, you know what would be real interesting, because this is all part of the resist. It does not matter what Donald Trump does. It will be the polar opposite of whatever he decides. So what maybe Trump ought to do is to say, you know what, I want to be able to, I want to ensure that we can provide more abortions to illegal aliens, and you watch, the left will lose their mind.
They don't know how to handle it.
Donald Trump hates brown people. Donald Trump's trying to kill brown people.
Right.
I mean,
they don't know how to handle it. I mean, come on. He was the one during the immigration debate, back in February, March, when they were talking about the immigration bill. And he was actually going to say, okay, you know what? We're going to build the wall. We're going to get funding for immigration support. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. Let's go ahead and give some amnesty to the DACA recipients. And they voted it down, and they shut down the government because it was coming from him, and he would have gotten credit for it as opposed to the Democrats getting credit for it. So they ended up turning their back and running away from the issue.
Well, and I just want people really to think about that. When, and I say that seriously, when you have American citizen parents having CPS step in because they left their kids in the car for 5 or 10 minutes while they ran an errand, that CPS will take those kids away from their parents. How is that different than illegal aliens dragging their kids hundreds of miles through a desert.
To break the law.
Yeah. When do we have Congress stepping in when an American citizen does something? Say they want to cheat on their taxes, do tax evasion because they want to keep that money with their family, maybe to pay medical bills, maybe to put their kids through college. The parents go to prison. Congress isn't stepping up and saying, "Hey, we can't separate these American families." When is Congress going to step up and say, "Hey, 2 million of the top taxpayers, go ahead, don't pay your taxes. We'll figure out a way. Don't pay taxes for 10 years, 15 years, but we'll figure out a way how to forgive all that money that you owe us."
Wow.
I mean, they are treating the American citizen far worse than they are the illegal alien. And people, you better wake up, because this nonsense going through the House right now with that Goodlatte bill. A border wall, I'm in favor of a wall, but it is a Trojan horse for amnesty.
Sure.
Because I'm telling you, you cannot force future presidents to keep the border secure. You can't make the next Congress not undo any laws that are passed now. We'll get 100% of the amnesty, and we'll get none of the border security, just like Reagan signed in 86. 32 years. What did we get? 100% amnesty, 20 million more illegals.
There it is. Wallace, I appreciate the call, my friend, very much so. I completely agree. 316-721-8255. It really brings up the point. I mean, you're right. The hypocrisy in the argument really boggles the mind because, I mean, as you mentioned, I mean, the progressives and the Democrats, they love social services. I mean, they love it. They love these programs. They love the government being able to take, what was their argument, that a community is what raises the child? And they love the argument that the government should be raising the children anyways. They have no problem. I mean, come on, you can't spank your child without someone calling social services on you, trying to come and investigate you to see if you're abusive and find a way to find a reason or an excuse to take away your kid. They love having the government take care of kids. Why would they not be in favor of the government being able to come in and brainwash these new kids coming across the border where they get a clean slate to educate these kids however they want to? Give me a break. They're all about it. That was a banker in Colorado. I think I've told you this story before. And as I was a banker, one of the clients that we had was actually a state representative in the state of Colorado in one of the districts of Denver. Very, very liberal. Very liberal. She was, I don't even remember her name. She was a very left-wing progressive, would actually take shots of Governor Brownback at the time here in Kansas. And she had her campaign accounts with the bank. And being a banker, I was not allowed to talk politics because I represented the bank, so I just had to keep my mouth shut. And she would go on and on and on about how we need more social services, we need more money for the program, we need to have more regulation for the kids, we need to find ways to really start finding ways to really get these kids out of quote-unquote situations, and we need to have more government interference when it comes to... She was all about it. It wasn't about keeping the family together and finding ways to support the family values so that way the kids wouldn't have to be taken away, but it was about just being able to put the Band-Aid on, invest more taxpayer money into a program that takes children away from their families. They had no problem with that. And then we turn around and say, nope, can't take the kids away from the people that are breaking the law coming across the border because they broke the law. Oy. Makes your head hurt sometimes, doesn't it? Let's go back to the phones here. Line at number 2. Good morning. What's your name?
Good morning, Andy. It's Ron.
Ron, how are you, sir?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Interesting conversation that Wallace always brings to the table.
Yeah.
People need to ignore the Boehner Light Eddie Munster that's running the House because he's a lame duck. He's going out of there and he wants to end it by taking care of his benefactors, which is the cheap labor of commerce at the federal level, and the Koch brothers. And I'm just sick of it that somebody else is deciding for us that we have to take the burden of supporting this whether we like it or not. It's like somebody coming to my house, walking into my house and says, I'm here, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Sure. That's true.
I'm just sick of it. Everybody needs to call not just the 4th District, but they need to call all the other 3 representatives and say, not no, but hell no, we don't want amnesty. These people broke our laws, and they need to step up and go back to where they came from.
Well, and that's what we need to start addressing. And the fact that it's still very odd to me that we're even trying to discuss immigration policy at this point in time when we got the midterm election coming up, while we're trying to really focus on the appropriations process at the federal level and start cutting budgets. We have the farm bill that we're debating and discussing right now. Why is immigration coming back? We tried this back in February and March. We had a decent bill come out of the House that wasn't going to go anywhere with the Senate. And as far as I'm aware of, the numbers and the votes and the support of one another have not changed. I see this almost as a desperate attempt, again, going into the election for Republicans who are concerned in their districts that they sound like a heartless jerk because they've supported Donald Trump policy or they haven't, of them to try and go out and do their thing and show that they're trying to work across the aisle and they're trying to take care of individuals, and that all of a sudden we have a Republican-led House supporting a bill that has major amnesty in it. And it doesn't make any sense to me as Republicans are going back to their constituents as a Republican to say, hey, please vote for me again because I'm going to continue to promote Republican values.
Well, I'll tell you what I think. My put is that there are Republicans, supposedly Republicans up there, that they don't care that some Democrats might take back over the House for a while because they'll still be there, okay? Mm-hmm. And it won't make any difference to them. They'll let Democrats do that because they're inside that beltway and they stay there, and we need to drain the swamp, and we need to get rid of them.
Well, that's very true, and I think some, again, are all panicky about the blue wave. I tell you what, elections do weird things to politicians, don't they? As soon as we get into an election season where they may be concerned about losing a seat or having a new party come in as the majority and take over everything, as soon as that thought crosses their mind, it's really funny to see what kind of legislation they pop up with, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Thanks, Andy, for all you do, and have a good weekend.
Ron, I appreciate it, my friend. Happy Father's Day to you and the family. Very much so. You guys enjoy very much. 20 minutes past the hour. We got to take a break. Get your thoughts on this and more. We'll kind of shift gears when we come back. But it is that time.
If we're going to be brutally honest, that drawing you made of me when you were 3 was far from a perfect likeness.
All right, Meg, stay incredibly still. I'm going to whip that cigarette out of your mouth and maybe not slice your face in half.
I need some peace and quiet. I want to focus on the turkey. Everyone just go to bed.
Bob, it's 6:30.
I don't care. Just go to bed.
You love that turkey more than you love us.
That's right. I do.
Call now at 721-8255 and get registered for the Ultimate Father's Day with KQAM.
There it is. It is the Ultimate Father's Day giveaway brought to you by Roden Roofing, RHODEN roofing.com, or you can visit them 358 South Laura Street along with Auburn Hills Wine and Spirits, 19940 West Kellogg Drive, Auburn Hills Wine and Spirits on Facebook. You can find their location and specials every single week. Here's what you're going to get. This is the last entry to get you onto the list before we do the giveaway next hour on who's actually going to win this. But here's that you could potentially win 4 ticket vouchers at the Kansas City Royals game of your choice throughout the entire season, 4 tickets to the Wichita Open Golf Tournament, 2 tickets to 81 Speedway's race of your choice throughout the entire season that ends in, October-ish. So you got some time to be able to use those, and 2 tickets to the Wichita Wingnuts game on July 4th that include the fireworks after the game. And we want to thank again Roden Roofing and Auburn Hills Wine and Spirits. We'll take caller number 2 right now at 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. Caller number 2, the last individual to get registered for the Ultimate KQAM Father's Day giveaway right here on the KQAM airwaves.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
6 minutes past the hour. Congratulations to all of our candidates, all 5 of them, for getting registered for the Ultimate KQAM Father's Day giveaway. We'll do that drawing next hour. Oh, yes. We'll give it away. Getting ready for Father's Day. It's going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned in for that. I have right here. If you can see, if you're watching TV, if you're watching the Facebook Live, I have all the tickets Wingnuts, 81 Speedway, Wichita Open. I got all the tickets right here in the envelope. We'll be able to give that away coming up next hour for the Ultimate KQ AM Father's Day giveaway. Bottom of the hour news coming up in just a minute. When we come back, I want to shift gears just a little bit as we've been talking about some of the elections that have been going on and the primaries and kind of who's winning and who's losing in the primaries. And I've been making the case that, oh, by the way, Republicans winning the primaries left and right. Oh, by the way, conservatives winning the primaries left and right throughout the entire nation. Oh, by the way, Donald Trump supporters, Donald Trump Republicans winning the primaries. And if the general elections were held based on the turnout when it comes to the primaries, that we wouldn't have changed any seats left or right. We really wouldn't have changed any seats nationwide. The blue wave is not happening. But there are some interesting individuals that actually have been able to win their primaries, and we'll talk about that coming up. Plus, there is a letter that I think I'm going to read this. It's from the Wichita Eagle. I think it's a brilliant article. It was written a couple of days ago about Ron Estes and Ron M Estes and how it's time for us to get rid of the games being played in our electorate system. This is not a joke. Sometimes we need jokes. Sometimes we're lighthearted, ha, 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 okay, but at the end of the day, we're serious, which is why some people thought that Donald Trump was kind of the joke when he first jumped into the presidential race, and everybody thought, okay, it's time to get serious now, let's not be a joke, but yet it wasn't a joke, and he was actually very serious, and look at what he's doing now, but this is kind of a joke. And this whole Ron Estes v. Ron Estes thing is a bit absurd, and it's gone a little bit too far, and now we need to address this seriously, because he's on the ballot. Ron M Estes is on the ballot. Have you heard from him yet? Have you seen him go out into the public yet? Have you seen him actually have a press release on his website other than just the initial one yet? Have you seen him talk about any issues have you seen anything yet? No, you have not. Making a mockery. This is really disrespectful to the entire electorate system, because not only are you trying to sabotage an election, but you're taking advantage of it by not even trying to campaign. You're mocking a very precious system in the country and something that we've been holding near and dear to us for a very long time. It's totally different from like the whole Vermin Supreme thing that we had running for district attorney, which was entertaining and it was comical. It wasn't going to go anywhere. We knew it wasn't going to go anywhere, but it was entertaining while it lasted. Ha ha ha, okay. This one's for the long haul, for the primary race that could actually steal a lot of votes from Ron Estes, Congressman Ron Estes, and they seem to be okay with it because they're making a mockery of the system. Typical progressives? I don't know.
Stand up, we were right. You know we can't be more justified, and we can't deny it. Stand up, we were right. We've come too far just to fade.
It's time for some common sense, sanity, and reason.
You can't handle the truth.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Oh, yeah, making it happen today on a Friday. It is a free-for-all Friday, meaning whatever's on your mind, you get to talk about, you get to bring up. I don't really care what it is today. I'm still, by the way, talking about the Father's Day weekend. Any shenanigans stories that you want to tell about your dad or give the shout out, we'd love to hear from you. 316-721-8255, 316-72-on-talk, Quora.com. Still, the stories floating around. There's different ones posting around throughout social media. Should Father's Day be banned because it's disrespectful to single mothers and same-sex couples? Okay. So glad we had that conversation during Mother's Day as well. There's a piece, I want to read this out of the Wichita Eagle. I think it's a brilliant piece, and I got to give them credit for doing this because it's frustrating as we take elections seriously. I don't know how many other people do, but you and I, we take elections seriously. Now, again, do we like our jokes? Are we lighthearted? I know that progressives say that we don't have a sense of humor. We have a great sense of humor. We really do. We have a great sense of humor. And Vermin Supreme, and he ran for district attorney for the state of Kansas. Yeah, it was entertaining. It was funny. Ha, ha, ha. We knew he wasn't going to win because why did he want to run? Because he wanted to do a lawsuit for a pony that was harmed here in Kansas because he wants free ponies for everybody. That was his whole reason why he wanted to run. It was just fun. He's a satirist. We forget comedy sometimes. People are so uptight nowadays. Well, I probably rub people wrong myself because, as you can tell by the show, I'm very sarcastic at times, and I joke around a lot because that's just the way I am. I take things seriously, but in order to take them seriously, I have to be able to have a little fun with it because that's just my personality. That's who I am. That's what I do. And some people, it just rubs them the wrong way because they're always so uptight all the time. Predominantly progressives who think, a joke is, ha, 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 Donald Trump's a racist, ha, 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 ha. And that's really funny to them. I mean, they get a kick out of it. When it's really not that funny. But, once you actually do something a little bit witty, then, of course, it's very offensive, and they need their safe space, and that so on and so forth. So this whole Ron Estes v. Ron Estes election is a little absurd, and it is, to me, offensive in the electoral process because we have someone who's not even trying to openly campaign who has the same name just for the fact of the same name that they're going to try and sabotage the election because they don't like the opposition. It's not funny. It's not cute. It's not charming. It's actually a little absurd and ridiculous. So the Wichita Eagle came out with a piece just a few days ago, and I wanted to read you a piece of this. Ron M Estes, it's time to show yourself. You've been a candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives in Kansas's 4th District for exactly 2 weeks. You've not had a news conference, a campaign rally, or conducted a single interview. You call your campaign the real Ron Estes, but we have no proof. Yet you show your face You've yet to show your face in person to the public. We haven't heard your voice. We've had replies to reporter emails and a few critical email blasts of Representative Ron Estes and the objection board ruling that the congressman could use rep to differentiate between the two in the August 7th primary, but nothing else. You didn't even attend the objection board meeting or even sent a representative. You're threatening to make a mockery out of something important, which will represent who will represent South Central Kansas in Congress. Some people argue you've reached mockery stage by taking advantage of having the same name as a congressman. After all, a check of federal election filings show that you and your wife have combined contributed to at least $2,875 to Democratic campaigns and causes since the year 2009. You've been registered as a Republican all that time, but in Kansas, that means very little more than being able to vote in the GOP primaries. You ask for privacy a day into your candidacy as you planned strategy. 11 days later, you said in an email you're considering phone interviews. Considered phone interviews. I tell you what, Ron M Estes, I would like to request this to be your first interview right here on this show. I will be very fair, but I want to understand all of this. Please, I am pleading with you to come on this show and talk to me a little bit. Please. You've asked for privacy. It's clear that many of you want to blow up my campaign off as a joke, according to the new Estes email in the response to a request for an interview. However, that is simply not the case. This is no joke, Ron M., but it's your time for you to show us that you're taking this seriously. Who runs for a U.S. Congress seat just a couple of months before the primary and does no interviews, has no information on the website, has no platform to run on? This is nothing more than the joke. And it really is a mockery of the system. Look, we take this very seriously. As Republicans, at least, and conservatives, we take the system seriously when we go to the voting booth, when we cast our ballot, when we want someone to represent us, because we understand, first off, this is not a democracy, no matter what anybody else says, and all the progressives that say, oh, you're detrimental to our democracy. Good thing we don't have a democracy, because we have a constitutional republic. We have a republic, meaning that we elect people who represent us. They don't run on saying, what does everybody want me to do? They run on the idea of, this is what I believe in and this is what I want to do, and if you like that, then go ahead and vote for me. There's a big difference in that, is there not? Because we have a representative government, meaning the majority of the people in that district believe in a certain way, and they nominate somebody to represent them to fight for their behalf. That is representation. That is a republic, not a democracy. A democracy would have just been when the elected officials just come back and say, what do you want me to do? I don't have any beliefs. I don't have any ideas. You just tell me what to do, and whoever shouts the loudest, then I'll go ahead and do it. That is dangerous to society. Could you imagine? Could you imagine a system like that to where we don't even have someone that says, I have virtues that I'm going to stand on, but just says, you know what, I'm an open book, baby. I don't care what I vote for or believe in, but whoever yells to me the loudest, that's what I'm going to support because I'm just going to believe in, the loud majority or the loud minority, whatever it may be at that time. Imagine where we would be in society today with that. with that kind of mentality, with that kind of concept, with that type of message on whoever had the most money and whoever had the loudest voice, just to say, yeah, you know what, do it this way. Okay. I mean, we've kind of gone down that road now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's right or that's the kind of system that we actually have. 316-721-8255. I do give very much credit to Wichita Eagle for running that piece and talking about a little bit of that issue when it comes to the importance of running for the 4th congressional seat. I want to play a video as we shift gears just for a minute, as the progressives continuously shooting themselves in the foot, whether it's sabotaging elections, whether it's not taking things seriously, whether it's becoming what they say that they're actually fighting against. And there's an audio clip, and it's about, I don't know, I'm not going to play the entire thing, but it's about 5 minutes long. And I shared it on my Facebook as it's titled Ex-Liberal Walks Away and Why He Left the quote-unquote left. And it's an individual who joined the progressive movement because he wanted tolerance, wanted lovey-dovey mentality, wanted the idea of what they say that they're about, and realized that's not really what it's actually about. So we'll play that clip here in just a minute, but let's go ahead and go to the phones as we are on a free-for-all Friday. 316-721-8255, line number 1. Good morning. What's your name?
Morning, Andy. It's Joe.
Joe, what's happening, sir?
Hey, brother. You just hit on something. You just don't even realize what you just hit on. You were just yelling that, hey, I'll just do whatever you want me to do for the, by the loudest.
Right.
That kind of happens right now. We got guys in Congress and the Senate who are paid to do what they're told to do.
Sure.
They're not doing what the will of the people. They're doing the will of whoever's paying them the most money.
Sure.
So that's already happening.
Or they do get scared during an election time, and they do just listen to whoever's yelling the loudest. I mean, you ever hear, and you hear this all the time, I mean, the congressman comes back for a town hall, or they'd have a meeting with their constituents, and then there's people there that just yell and scream and say, you're not representing me, you're abusing your seat because you're not representing me. And you sit back and you say, wait a second, did you vote for me in the first place? Well, no, because I'm a progressive liberal Democrat who doesn't like you. Then how am I supposed to represent you? Because Republican conservatives elected me because they were the majority in the district, because I have those views, so therefore I'm representing those values. So am I really supposed to quote unquote represent what you want when you are against the values that I got elected on? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Exactly. But that's exactly what it is. That's what's happening, and what this Ron M Estes is doing. He's just trying to, right now I'm going to call him out and just tell him, just withdraw from the race. Everybody knows this is a joke. He can say all that he wants, but he's trying to run and win. Because what's going to happen, just like you said, what's going to happen when he gets elected? By the fear of God, if this guy got elected, right? What would happen? This guy would be a puppet, because he wouldn't have a clue, because he's not been prepared to go into it. It's like what do they call them, post turtles?
Mm-hmm.
You know what a post turtle is, right?
Sure.
Okay, so that's the same thing. That's exactly what this guy's going to be. He doesn't have a clue how he got up there or what he's supposed to do now that he's up there. Oh my God, dude, that is.
Well, and that's the thing.
That's scary.
He's not in it to win it. He's in it to try and sabotage by just saying, "I'm the real Ron Estes," which, by the way, the Secretary of State's office did say that he's not allowed to use the real in his campaign, so he's got to take that out. So he's just got to be Ron M Estes, which probably hurt his campaign a little bit. But I mean, he's the fact that he's not out blazing the trails, hitting the pavement, talking to constituents, doing meetings, doing interviews. The fact that he's not doing that means that he's trying to skate through. If he can sneak in a couple thousand votes by people thinking that it's Congressman Ron Estes, and they're just punching the ballot and they're just thinking whatever and not paying attention, and he ends up getting it. Look, if he gets the nomination in the Republican side, then who do we have? We have Ron M Estes, so we have no idea what he stands for and what he's doing, who's donated to thousands of dollars to Democrats over the last few years to different campaigns. Or we have James Thompson, the Democratic candidate, who's a Bernie Sanders progressive, who has received money from Ron M Estes in the last election by close to $2,000.
And who do you think that he's going to vote for?
It really makes you think.
Dude, it does, and it's just really, really scary to think that somebody is actually. But you know what? I bet this happens all the time, and we see it all the time. I shouldn't even say we know it happens. We know that
Oh, we tried the
People
dirty
run
politics.
on the
Do you remember the special election last year with Ron Estes and James Thompson, to where there were the big scandal in that year was the big issue about fake social media accounts from Ron Estes being created and saying outlandish, absurd, racist, bigoted, hateful messages that were supposedly coming from Ron Estes, but they were fake accounts. You remember that last year?
Yep. So
they're
again
desperate to try and
the liberal
demonize this individual.
progressives. Exactly. The liberal progressives doing whatever you know what? I'll just say it's the Democratic Party. Let's just call it. Let's call it who it is. We know who's doing it and who's behind it.
Oh, well, I mean, I won't say that because I don't have that confirmation, but it's looking towards that way. But I can't confirm that. So let's say the alleged Democratic Party.
Okay, let's just do that. The alleged Democratic Party.
We got to be a little bit accurate here. Yeah.
Well, they do so many slim shady things all the time. I mean, we got the AG report yesterday, and it's just not. Oh my God, politics right now is just crazy, dude. If you would have asked me this when I was a kid, how crazy would it be? I would have thought never like this. Never like this. I would have. Oh my, I thought once Nixon happened, and that whole, Watergate thing, I figured nobody would even attempt it. But then you got, I'm getting off onto a different tangent here. But anyway, but you just see how it goes and how these people think and how crazy it is.
Well, but again, to bring it full circle, these individuals that don't represent the constituents that elected them, in the sense of the people that actually voted them into office, and the ones that when they do get close to an election cycle and they go panicky, then they even turn on their base that did get them into a republic system to stand on a virtue, to stand on a value. And they end up changing that because they're in a state of desperation when it comes to the election cycle, and they don't want to lose their seat. So then everything that their base actually, Republican or Democrat, mind you, that the base voted them into office to represent them with those values under a republic system, not a democracy, but a republic system. They end up wavering and changing their tone on those issues because they're desperate and they're scared and they're scratching and desperate to try and look for more votes.
AKA Hillary Rodham Clinton will say whatever she had to say to get to be president. How many times has she flip-flopped on different subjects?
Over the past 20 years, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
well,
sure.
Not even 20 years. Let's go back even further than that. They said all kinds of things over the last 30 or 40 years, and they flip-flopped on it like crazy. So anyway, getting back to Ron M Estes, who is not and should not be running for this seat because he has nothing to run on. And if he was the real guy, he would, the day that he announced, he would have stood up there, had a speech, had a whole deal ready to go. But no,
you don't just kind of half it and be like, I guess I'll run for Congress. That'll be an easy win. Don't you worry. And you don't even talk to anybody. I mean, that right there is the biggest show-tail sign that he has no intention of actually trying to win this thing.
And I'm going to say kudos to the Wichita Eagle for calling him out.
Exactly.
They very seldom get any kind of kudos for actually, I'm not going to slam anybody, but I'm just saying they're not usually ones to come out and slam somebody for not doing it. And kudos to the Wichita Eagle for actually doing their job and saying, hey, what are you doing? What are you running on? And where are you going with this campaign? Exactly. Where are you trying to lead us? I think he's trying to lead us exactly what you said, away from the Democratic voters, or to get more Democratic votes for the other guy. I think that's all this is about, and it's sad.
That really is. Joe, I appreciate it, my friend. Have a great weekend. Great to talk to you. 316-721-8255. Let's sneak in another one here before the break. Line number 3. Good morning. What's your name?
Jose.
Hey, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you, Andy?
Hey, living the dream every day.
Beautiful day out, isn't it?
That's what it is, my friend. We love it.
Exercising our First Amendment rights, and I'm about to go exercise my second.
I love it. Where are you going? You're going to a range this morning?
I'm heading out to do some USPSA type match shooting.
Oh, fantastic. That makes me happy right there. That's
some freedom seeds at a second.
That's the way to kind of celebrate Father's Day weekend, isn't it? Uh-oh, did we lose you? Oh, we ended up losing Jose. Give us a call back, my friend. Give us a call back. We got to talk about those freedom seeds being planted into certain objects. Appreciate that. Give us a call back, Jose. We want to hear from you. 316-721-8255. Let's take a break. 9 minutes to the top of the hour. This is The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
lost Jose in that last segment. We'll have to try and get him back on at a later time. The phones are still lighting up, though, so let's go right to them. Line number 1. Good morning. What's your name?
This is Jim.
Jim, what's happening, sir?
Well, I just had an epiphany. Mr. Ron M Estes, isn't it just to confuse the primary? He actually wants to win the primary.
Well, he would love to.
Because then he can withdraw after the ballots are printed, and the only candidate to vote for in the general election will be the Democrat.
I mean, he would sure definitely love to win it. I mean, not actively campaigning means that, I mean, you got a close to a 90% chance that you're not going to win. He's hoping on the fact that you are just going to make a mistake by voting for Ron M Estes.
It happens
on the ballot, which you're right. And I guarantee you that in this election, and let's say that we get, I mean, I don't know how many are going to turn out for a primary race like that. Let's say, just to throw a number out, 20,000 votes. I know we're going to get a lot more than that, but let's just say 20,000 people show up to the primary for the Republicans, and they see Rep. Ron Estes and Ron M Estes not paying attention. I guarantee you, out of that 20,000, he could get 5,000 or 6,000 votes because people are not paying attention.
He could get 51%. I have worked the polls in the past, and you would be amazed at how stupid the average voter is.
I mean, I don't want to go down that road because I'm hoping at least, I mean, I have my shred of optimism. I mean, come on,
Andy's
Jim.
optimism of the day.
All right, I'm ready.
I mean, my optimism that I at least have is that if you're going to be going to the voting booth, that you at least have a sense of who and what you're voting for rather than just showing up.
They don't. The average voter goes to the polls because it's election day, and they have no idea who's on the ballot or what the question is, if there's a question. They actually have asked me who should I vote for, and I tell them I can't tell them that. All I can do is tell them how the machine works. And the average voter is almost stupider than that turtle on the post.
Well, it just makes me sad, and that's why we have shows like this to hopefully be able to educate people enough to say, you know, whether you agree or disagree with me, I don't really care, that's fine, but at least, you know, you have a bit of an understanding of the issues when you go to the voting booth to actually know who's going to be on the ballot and what they stand for so you can make the right judgmental decision.
But you have to understand, you get only the intelligent listeners. The other guys are listening to who won the baseball game.
Well, tell that to our sports guys. I'm sure they would appreciate that one. Jim, I appreciate it very much, my friend. Happy Father's Day to you and the family, very much so. It's right. And I mean, we need, sometimes it can be a bore when I'm here rattling off statistics and numbers and percentages and history and constitutional, yada, yada, yada. And we do some of that. I get that it's kind of boring at times. I understand that. At the same time, it is kind of important. Elections are important. When you show up to the voting booth, you got to know what you're voting for. Just a little bit. Lots more coming up. Stay tuned. Hour number 3 right around the corner. We got lots to get to. We may have a guest talking about Father's Day gifts, along with Brandon Johnson, Wichita City Council member at 8:30, wrapping up the show as well on a Friday, on a free-for-all Friday. Everybody stay right here.
It's time for Reason.
Because now we're introducing the one thing that we have that can actually change the mentality of the people that we're trying to influence, and that is capitalism. We can change their diplomacy. We can change their leaders. We can overthrow the dictators. We can try and quote-unquote free the people, but unless the people know what to do with that freedom, they're lost. The one way that we can change things is introduce capitalism.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
That's what it is. Welcome into the Voice of Reason, hour number 3. The Voice of Reason broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation. Here in Wichita, Kansas on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM, simulcasting on TV, KGPT TV, channel 2610. Hey, it's great to have you along today on the day we've been looking forward to, baby. It is a Friday. Let's make it a, what the heck, a free-for-all Friday. Come on. Today's your day to be able to talk about whatever you want to. I am your political therapist. Let's work through it together going into, a Father's Day weekend. Yeah, come on. All right. A free-for-all Friday, meaning whatever's on your mind. We'd love to hear from you. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. If you want to join in, we have the Facebook Live feed up and rolling as well, facebook.com/1480 KQAM. I love all the conversation, love the discussion. We got some more calls on the line. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. But I want to shift gears just for a minute. As you know, and as we've been plugging, it is Father's Day weekend coming up. And what are you going to do for that special dad in your life, or maybe as the dad? What are you going to do to be able to enjoy? It's been beautiful weather lately. It's been 95 degrees for the last 2 weeks in a row, and it's been relatively warm. What are barbecuing, camping, hiking, going to a sporting event? What's your plan? And what would you like to get? Or if maybe you're the kid, maybe you're a husband, maybe you're the wife, or it doesn't matter, the spouse. What would you like to get for your special dad in your life? To talk about that and more, I'm really excited to have her on the program, Natasha Smith. She is a personal finance expert for topcashback.com. She's on the line with us talking about what the best kind of gifts and ideas are for that great dad in your life. Natasha's on with us. Natasha, how are you today?
I'm very well. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us on the show. The Father's Day is always a big one. Of course, Mother's Day we had just a few weeks ago, and hopefully everybody got to enjoy and indulge the best way that we can with all the great chocolate or flowers or doing something special for that day. But for Father's Day, what's the big celebration? What's kind of the big thing that people love to do or to get when it comes for the Father's Day weekend?
46% of the fathers we polled said that they wanted gift cards. That was the top gift on their agenda, and it's quite possibly because 1 in 4 dads actually want an electronic. So you can imagine if they want to have that particular gift, maybe they're not quite feel that their son or daughter is reliable enough to pick the correct electronic. So giving them a gift card might be the handy way to do that while they've still got choice.
The gift card is always a great way to go there. Now, you mentioned the electronics, though, and I don't know, maybe the gifts that dads enjoy when they get their gift cards, or whether it's the gift themselves, I'm sure it's probably changed over the years from like tools, which, I mean, come on, you always think the ultimate dad, yeah, the big power tool sort of thing, to now maybe a little bit different, like electronics, maybe video games, or maybe some like phones or some equipment for a computer, or that sort of thing. Have we seen kind of that transition on what the fathers prefer?
We have. I mean, we've moved away from socks or ties, or, as you say, the tools, or barbecue luxuries, and it's more going towards, as we say, electronics, anything that the dad can enjoy, have fun with. It could also be restaurants, gift cards for restaurants, because actually the second top present dads want, 29% of fathers we polled, they want to spend quality time with the kids. So by having a restaurant gift card, that at least gives you a nice occasion you can share with the family. And in fact, our third top suggestion was just breakfast, lunch, or dinner, be it outdoors in a restaurant or be it indoors at home. If the kids want to put together even bed and breakfast for dad, as much as that's popular for mum, that's popular for dad as well.
That's a good idea. I mean, I have a 4-year-old, so, I get to celebrate, the Father's Day as well. And that's really, I mean, with how much we work, with how much time we're away, don't get to spend as much time with the family as we'd like to do. I mean, that is a great gift, just to have a relaxed time, have a big dinner or a lunch or something, and just spend time with the family.
Absolutely. Father's Day does not have to cost much at all. 84% of Americans are planning to spend up to $100 on their paternal figures. But when you're a young child, if you're a parent, a father of young children, surely what's most heartwarming might be something that they've made with love. Sure. It hasn't cost anything. They've just spent time doing it. Or in fact, even if anybody has left the Father's Day gift buying till the last moment, maybe just spend the day, their father, son, or daughter, making the gift with them. That might feel extra special too.
That's a really great gift. I love that. Now, when it comes to the gift cards, have you guys been able to see a trend when it comes to gift cards for particular industries, like, as you mentioned, maybe like a Sears for the tools, or for the restaurant gift cards, or for GameStop or something for a video game? Is there a trend on what's really popular with types of gift cards?
Oh yeah. For the electronics, it could be for GameStop, and that's actually it's quite a sweet one if you think about it. If it is about buying a console and having video games, we can do that with the family. That might be something that you do with your son and daughter, so you're sharing an experience that way as well. And certainly with restaurant vouchers, also you do still see the sports gift cards in there as well. But then you've got your typical ones like Walmart, Target, and so forth, because as much as they sell electronics and are very handy in that respect as well, they're a one-stop shop. You can pick up anything else when you're there. So you've got a lot of variety.
Sure. Let's talk about some of the least favorite. Someone, maybe they're newlyweds or maybe the boyfriend-girlfriend thing or whatever, and they're trying to do something really special, and they kind of strike out and not really the best gift where the guy's like, thanks, and that goes about as far as it goes. What are some of the least favorite gifts that dads receive on Father's Day?
Well, the least favorite are jewelry. Which is very interesting because you would think maybe watches would come under jewelry.
Sure.
But perhaps dads are a little bit fussy with their watches, and maybe Junior can't quite afford a Rolex yet. So that's come in as the least favorite. Appliances, music, movies, books. Those are all of Dad's least favorite gifts.
Really?
Yes.
That's surprising because I honestly love if I get a DVD. Honestly, you get birthday, Christmas, Father's Day, I don't care. I mean, you get me a DVD of a good movie and I'm totally happy.
Maybe with the rise of, I suppose, all the subscription services, or maybe because dads want to have the experience, maybe going to the movies, that might be more popular as a Father's Day gift than getting a DVD these days.
I like that. That is a good point. And I guess more people are. I'm kind of stuck in the old school way. I like collecting DVDs. I just told my wife we watch TV shows, and I'm like, honey, we got to get this TV show on DVD. And she's like, honey, people don't do that anymore. It's called Netflix. So I guess I have to kind of get up with the times. So that would be one for that one. So, but jewelry, I can see that now. I got to ask, I love them maybe because I'm still in a traditional sense, but are pocket watches still a popular thing?
Not really. They're beautiful, but no, not really.
And to get with the 21st century. Come on. Yeah, all right. I'll have to work on that one. What about the dad himself, getting a gift for himself? What does he like to do if he ends up doing something like that?
Getting a gift for himself, experiences again. We're living in a time where it's very easy to buy items and to find a reason to buy an item. But as you mentioned earlier, Andy, we work so hard, we work long hours, and there's so many things on our to-do list. It is very much, I suppose, a priority for Dad to find time.
Sure.
That's the ultimate gift.
Sure. Let's take it to the next step. After the gift giving, after, maybe it's obviously the family on the budget, which, there's none like that out there, but they try and get the gift card, they do something special. But how do you do that in a way to where, a lot of the financial burden falls on the family and especially falls on the dad that's working day in and day out. How do you have that conversation, or how do you do this and celebrate the holiday, but yet not have to worry about saying, oh, I'm investing a heck of a lot of the money that needs to be going towards bills to be investing in me for a holiday that we don't necessarily have to do per se?
Absolutely. I mean, the great thing is in 2018, there are so many ways to cut the cost of any event throughout the year, but especially, for this Sunday, for Father's Day. 2 in 3 Americans are actually actively looking at cashback sites such as topcashback.com, coupon sites, so that they can cut the cost of the gift-giving experience. And 2 in 3 Americans are certainly going to actually be shopping online and using a cashback site to do this. Simply, it's what I like to call layering the savings. Have an idea of what, if you want to purchase a material item, what Dad would like, then you just scour online to find that particular item using Google search. Where is the cheapest retailer you can get that from? And the great thing about online is it instantly pops up. It gives you an idea. Then if you head to a cashback site like topcashback.com, pop in that retailer's name. It could be like Walmart. It could be Target. It could be, if you wanted to buy a gift card, it could be with the group owner such as Darden that has Longhorn Steakhouse. And you can put that name into Top Cashback. A special page will appear that the consumer clicks through, and they can earn a percentage of what they spend as a cashback saving, and that effectively will cut the cost of what you're going to be spending on Father's Day.
Very cool. Very cool. That's a great way to be able to save and be able to put a little bit back while you're still being able to enjoy just a little bit. TopCashback.com is Natasha Smith, with personal finance expert at TopCashback.com. Go and check it out. Get great deals, get great specials, and a great way to be able to celebrate a little bit for Father's Day. What is kind of the big holiday shopping sprees throughout the year? Obviously, I mean, Mother's Day, Father's Day, you get stuff. Valentine's Day, I'm sure some happens a little bit. Maybe 4th of July, but then I'm sure it really picks up around towards the end of the year when it comes to Thanksgiving, Christmas as well, doesn't it?
Goodness me, from the beginning of November right until the end of December, it is absolutely, online shopping has grown enormously. It is incredibly popular because it's easy to create savings online with the facilities of cashback and coupons. So really, from the beginning of November, the 1st of November, there is actually a week in November that I do a year's worth of kitchen shopping and all of my laundry shopping, just to get it out of the way, because the cost of pretty much everything, it's just slashed from the beginning of November.
Wow. When did it really kick off when it comes to some of the online sales? I know that we've seen the increased sales year over year when it comes to online sales and purchases, and it's really become a huge market. When did we really see that boom take off?
I would say this was mostly, it's been growing and growing. Probably about 10 years ago was when it first started to gain momentum, but it's just propelled, absolutely propelled. And it's just so useful that you can be in your home. You could be watching TV, again, relaxing with your family, not having to drive to the store, drive to the mall, have all the issues of lining up, finding parking. You can just shop in the comfort of your own home. And that's helped, the convenience of it. It's not just about the money-saving aspects anymore, it's the convenience.
Absolutely. Natasha Smith, a personal finance expert at TopCashback.com. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, when it comes to the Father's Day, gift cards sounds like the way to go when you're treating your dad and just taking him out, having some nice dinner with them, and spending some quality time is something it sounds like every dad likes to do. Natasha, thanks so much for joining us. We'd love to get you guys back on again later on.
Lovely, thank you.
I appreciate it very much. 20 minutes past the hour. We got to take a break here, wrapping up the show today. Open lines to you when we come back. A lot more to get you here on The Voice of Reason on KQAM. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, KQAM.
Back into the Voice of Reason, 26 minutes past the hour. It's great to have you along today. Father's Day weekend coming up. Well, I am old school, ain't I? Good golly. Seeing some of the gifts, and I mean, the gift cards are great. I love it, but no movies, no music. I mean, what was the coolest thing you got? And I still love it as a kid. You get the CDs, you can get some music. Yeah, baby. I guess now it's the downloads from iTunes. Actually, I will say, one of my metal bands that I enjoy, they came out with vinyl. They're bringing vinyl back. I mean, how cool is that? And to do that with the heavy metal, I think might be kind of fun. We got a special guest in studio here we're going to get into in just a second. Let's sneak in a phone call while we're going off on the topic as well. Your Father's Day gift, what would you like to get, or what would you like to give on Father's Day? Line number one. Good morning. What's your name?
That's Paul.
Hey, good morning, sir. How are you?
Yeah, how you doing, Andy?
Hey, living the dream, my friend, every day.
All right, it's what do you call it? Anything Goes Friday, right?
It's a free-for-all Friday. What's on your mind?
Free-for-all. Yeah, free-for-all Friday. Did you hear the latest news facts about what the regressive party's up to?
I have not, no.
Yeah, okay. These, like that, used to be a Walmart Supercenter in South Texas where they're stashing all the immigrant children to be used in human trafficking.
I have not heard that one. So wait, a Walmart in Texas is storing children for human trafficking?
Yeah. It's a former Walmart Supercenter. I guess they went out of business somewhere.
Okay, so it's like a vacant building then they're just storing. I have not heard that story.
And the feds have taken it over. It's already full. They got 3 or 4 more, or and then they're going to have to set up tent camps and stuff.
Interesting.
Capturing all these undocumented children, to use in local human trafficking.
Wow. Well,
This is part of this regressive party Trump immigration stuff.
Oh wait, what does that have to do with Trump? If it's someone holding children for human trafficking, what does that have to do with Trump?
Well, it's ICE that's doing it.
Oh, it's ICE that's doing it. So the government, ICE, is holding children. So that's the whole argument about the whole separation of the families thing, right? They send the parents back, they hold the children, and now the ICE, the government's using the children for human trafficking.
Yes, it's a perfect opportunity. They're undocumented human beings,
Well, okay.
It's the new white slavery. The regressives have finally brought back slavery to this country.
Very interesting, Paul. I will look into that one, and there we go. Now we have a whole new story that we can look into there. ICE now containing children, using them for the slave trade, and being able to hold them hostage and use human trafficking for the children of the families being torn apart at the southern border. Have not heard that one before. Appreciate the insight on that, and we'll do a little digging on there. We got bottom of the hour news coming up right now. When we come back, special guest in studio. I don't think we've had you back in, actually, since the election, I don't think.
No, it's been a while.
It's been a little bit. Brandon Johnson, City Council member, in studio with us here, wrapping up the show for the last half hour of the program. Your thoughts and calls as well. We got to talk a little bit about Father's Day, along with the city meeting that happened over the week on Tuesday and some of the issues happening in the city. By the way, Brandon, happy Father's Day to you.
Happy Father's Day to you, too.
Appreciate it. We'll talk about that stuff when we come back. This is The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
Takes two to read the news.
I'm trying to warn everybody and nobody takes me cereal.
You're in the wrong place. This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 1025 FM. KQAM.
Boy, I got to say, this show goes by way too fast. Already 2.5 hours in the books. Last 30 minutes of the show, rocking and rolling right here, and it's open lines to you at 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. I have not forgotten, by the way, by the end of this segment, Brandy, you're going to help me with this one.
All right.
We have our 5 registrants for the ultimate KQAM Father's Day giveaway, where they receive 4 ticket vouchers to the Kansas City Royals game of their choice for the rest of the season, 4 tickets to the Wichita Open Golf Tournament, 2 tickets to 81 Speedway to see the race of their choice through the season, along with 2 tickets to the Wichita Wingnuts game on July 4th to see the fireworks afterwards. So 5 people have already registered, and you, my friend, are going to help me choose the winner by the end of the segment.
Perfect.
That's going to be fun.
I'll be at the fireworks, too.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a good time. Yeah. I tell you what, the fireworks are great. Another discussion we have to have when the city issues, by the way, too, about the fireworks. But anyway, City Council member Brandon Johnson, we have not had you back in since the election, so how things are going? It's great to talk to you again.
Things are good. Settling in now, so...
It's getting all comfortable in there and seeing how things are working from the inside.
Yeah, 5 months on the job.
Very good, very good. Well, it's being in my district. I want to get you on more frequently as well. We do our weekly update with Brian Fry as well on Tuesdays. But heck, I'm in District 1, so I want to see what's happening in District 1.
We can no longer refer to him as Brian Fry. It's Captain Wichita.
It is Captain Wichita. I got to say, that was an excellent jacket that he walked with in the parade. That was fantastic.
It was.
That was really good. First off, talk about the last 5 months. What have you kind of been working on? Some of the priorities that you've had as a council member, trying to get in there and seeing how things are done. What's been priority for you?
Really been evaluating entrepreneurship aspects in District 1. We've been looking at neighborhoods, neighborhood associations, and trying to figure out how to do something to improve those, as well as doing something for our young people. So It was a soft announcement. We'll make a bigger one, but Lynette Woodard will be open on Wednesdays from 5 to 7, open gym, trying to give our young people something to do.
Okay.
We're going to do late night at McAdams starting next month, 8 to 10. And again, as we see our young people, some of that youth violence uptick, we want to make sure we provide a safe place for them to be at, law enforcement to be there, not only for enforcement, but also to build relationships.
Sure. We've
invited in men's groups around the city just to show positive men and show them, there's more you can do in this city than what you have been doing. And
Sure.
if you've just been walking around, here come do something fun and be around positive people.
Exactly. And you know what? They always say, stay busy, keeps you out of trouble sort of thing. Let's give some opportunity. Let's do some stuff and, find some alternatives of, hey, find a niche of what you're really passionate about. That's really cool.
Yeah. So, and we'll have 2 open rooms at McAdams. I've been trying to find folks, if you've got a hobby and you want to teach music or something like that, come on out. Kids will be there and teach them. So
I'm going to try and teach political comedy.
Hey. You should.
Although some say that I'm not very funny, but we could try. We could try. Give it a shot.
Kids always laugh at everything. So
that is true.
Yeah.
That is true. I mention a couple names and they'll just start giggling. It works. It could work.
It could.
We could do that. Very good. The last couple city council meetings have been very passionate.
Yeah.
At the meeting, listening to some of the constituents and voters in the city and the city council and you guys taking it all in between the pool issue, which I do want to touch on because I know that was kind of the issue this week, the last couple of weeks when it came to the fireworks issue. And I tell you what, there's a lot of things happening in the city between the growth, between some investment, between some upgrades, between things coming in here. That it's kind of an exciting time for the area, isn't it?
It is. I think it's a great time to be in Wichita. I mean, we're on the cusp. I keep saying it. We're on the cusp of something great.
Sure.
Things are happening. Great things are happening, but I think we're almost there to push over the edge and just do some amazing stuff here. The last couple of weeks have been interesting. Now, you brought up the fireworks. That was very interesting to me because during the campaign, a lot of folks said they wanted to see looser restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
And then in office, more of the folks who wanted to see the same restrictions stay with better enforcement spoke up.
They kind of spoke a little bit louder in that sense.
So that to me was interesting. So we decided to keep or improve the enforcement piece, and we'll see what that does this year.
Yeah, we get the waves because I'll get the calls. In the majority of the calls that I heard, like you mentioned, one time would be like, we want the looser regulations. I've been in favor of the looser regulations because I think people are going to do it anyways. I like the big booming off. And I mean, I like the ideas that were brought up of having a contained area to where people can come and do that as a community or doing it for a 2 or 3 hour window span for people to kind of boom off whatever they want to and then kind of keep it. So that way it's not, 3 days, 5 hours a night sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we can actually keep it contained because I understand the issue of the animals that are a little shaky about it or people concerned about the fire hazards or whatever it may be, but doing it with an isolated window and people were all for that. And then we had the meeting and it sounds like that it kind of went the other way and people said no, we don't want it, let's try and keep it as is.
Yeah.
So enforcement wise, what are we looking to do for the next year when it comes to the enforcement, if people continue to try and boom it off? I know Brian had mentioned about the fact that if they can't necessarily write someone a ticket if they can't see them physically fired off, which is really difficult to do if they can't track it until it's already booming in the air sort of thing.
Right.
So how are we going to go about trying to make this happen a little more streamlined?
So this year, there'll be unmarked vehicles, so folks won't know who's driving around.
Okay.
And you'll have your law enforcement and fire all in the same vehicle. So some of the restrictions that change is if you have these fireworks on your property and you have some that are spent and you have some more illegal fireworks, it's probable cause you probably were going to light those. So you can get a
allegedly,
ticket. You
yes.
can.
Okay.
You might get a warning, just depends on who it is, but you can be ticketed for that. The fine has reduced to $250 from $2,500.
Okay.
So you're more likely to get a ticket at that point, but you don't have to appear in court. You can just pay it. But the big thing is they'll be out in unmarked vehicles enforcing. So as before, like the vice mayor said, you've got to see it and witness that. Now there's more opportunities for probable cause in there.
Sure.
But I think this year just the threat of enforcement should hopefully reduce a lot of that. It's July 3rd and 4th where that enforcement will be toughest.
Sure. Now it is still legal as far as I'm aware, like the sprinklers, whatever they call them, that only go like 6 foot high or
Anything
something.
under 6 foot.
Okay, 6 foot.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we will have the shows like, we just mentioned the 4th of July when it comes to the Wingnuts game. After the Wingnuts game, Lawrence Dumont Stadium will have the big presentation, kind of the citywide as well. So there will be some presentations of bigger fireworks. It's just not one that you can do in your backyard.
Right. So, and anyone on Facebook, that's the Red, White, and Boom on July 4th.
Red, White, and Boom.
Wichita Parks Foundation partnering with that. So, yeah, check that out. It's down there. It's great. It's a big show. Last year was awesome. So
Sure.
looking forward to this year as well.
That is going to be a lot of fun. I'm curious to see how it goes this year when it comes to that enforcement. I don't know. I'm almost anticipating another reconvention and kind of looking at it again and seeing what may happen when we lead up to New Year's. Because personally, like I said, I'd really like to see it loosened up and just see how it goes. But we'll see how this one goes this year.
Yeah, I would too. When we voted for it, and the reason I supported it, one, most of my constituents that spoke up about it wanted that, but two, we looked at it as we're evaluating how it's going to work.
Sure.
So I'm willing to see what this year looks like. Ultimately, I'd hope we reduce the restrictions on it. But
sure, trial and error. That's what it's all about. We got some calls on the line. You want to take a phone call?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. 316-721-8255, line number 1. Good morning. What's your name?
Scott.
Scott, what's happening?
Well, like I said, the law is supposed to be applied equally to everybody. So, I mean, if you're going to restrict the public based on noise pollution or animal disturbing, you need to also include the city when it comes time for them to have the River Festival, and they're blowing those great big fireworks that nobody else has. But that's the problem.
Well, that's a point, Scott. I appreciate it very much. And I mean, a lot of people kind of have that mentality. I mean, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes this year.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that point.
Absolutely. So let's go to, of course, the city issue when it comes to pools. And I know that was the biggest issue that happened this week. A lot of really passionate people that showed up at this meeting this week with people on that one. But what are we looking like when it comes to some of the pools in the area, what we may be investing in, not investing in? What kind of came to the conclusion with on Tuesday?
Well, at the end of that meeting Tuesday, ultimately the vote was basically to postpone a decision on location between McAdams and Edgemoor until we could thoroughly investigate the McAdams pool. So looking at more of the demographics, households, looking at if the community might be interested in subsidizing that as College Hill did to build their pool. So all of that study will go into the McAdams area to see if it's feasible. But the 3 hours of passionate commentary from the folks was just, standing up for their pool in the community and not wanting to see something else get taken from the park. The pool was closed, and, the historical data showed that it hadn't been a lot of usage. There was a lot of factors, I think, that went into that hadn't been discussed, and I talked about some of it from the bench.
Sure.
But the community just really wants to see that park stay there. And over the years, or decades, I should say, it became industrial to the west, and just want to make sure that the park doesn't disappear.
Sure. Absolutely. The other option, if there are no pools, has been, of course, the splash pads. And it sounds like some of them are going to be getting some splash pads, a little bit cheaper cost, not a heck of a lot more maintenance compared to what the pools are going to look like, and kind of a good alternative for some of those areas.
Yeah, the issue I've had with splash pads is you can't learn how to swim in them.
Sure.
But, kids can run through there, and I think kids will have a good time, but it's just once you get through the splash pad, what if you do want to swim?
Sure.
That option's just gone for them unless they can get to the Y. And part of my argument from the bench was just access. A lot of those kids around McAdams, and now that we're starting to get more data in, they can't get to the Y. They don't have those Y memberships. It's hard to get there. If you take the bus, I think there's 2 buses you have to take or 3 to get to the YMCA if you can't get a ride. So it's just tough to get there, and that was the whole access argument.
Mm-hmm. There was one option as well that I know Brian had mentioned too, where some of the pools in the area, where the community itself, the surrounding community that uses it, had openly to like a membership or a tax or something, just to that community itself to try and increase their usage in order to be able to compensate, to be able to take care of the expenses of that pool. Is that maybe an option for some of these places as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think everything's on the table right now. We're evaluating internally, and then we'll go out and start talking to the neighbors. The neighborhood association president actually spoke at the meeting, but she's willing to commit to whatever she needs to help out. So
sure.
Right now, it's just a lot of hard work looking at options and seeing what we can agree to.
Sure, making it happen. I love it. We got a few minutes left, but you mentioned kind of the community organization in that area. If people want to start getting involved with that, help out with that sort of thing, how can they do so?
So the easiest way to figure out, no matter where you live, in District 1 at least, to find out what neighborhood association you're in, is to call Camila over at Atwater.
Okay.
And that number is 303-8016. You can call her, tell her your address. She'll tell you what neighborhood association it is. The other thing is this year we're going to pick out 6 neighborhood associations, go knock doors, see about creating some in the areas that don't have them. So tell them the importance of it. And the ones that do have them, try to strengthen those, work with the president, knock doors, get neighbors to come and just talk to them about what you can do. So if it's illegal dumping or some crime in the area, you get more eyes on it. You all are working together. We can solve problems. And then if there's a bigger issue, I'll be there. You can let me know. Then I can take it back to the council, and we can all work together to improve our neighborhoods. But I think it comes from strengthening those associations, and some of them just don't have a lot of members right now.
Sure. Well, and the accessibility as well. I mean, I got to give you credit. My wife, was talking about an idea when it came to a crosswalk for one of the streets, when it comes to some of the accessibility. And I mean, a couple of days we were sitting there with you and talking about some of that idea, and you brought it up and talked about some different options that we have for that. So that accessibility and on some of the ideas that we want to do with the community, we appreciate that very much.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for coming in.
Hey.
Hope more people come in.
Absolutely. All the time. It is. It's really easy to be able to get you guys and to talk about either at the city council meeting or just, privately one-on-one with you guys with whatever district that you're in to talk. So we love that very much.
Yeah.
So always a good time. Plans for Father's Day? Any fun times this weekend?
The Juneteenth celebration is kicking off. And I guess we do have a Father's Day program on there. So I'll be there. We'll be providing food for father figures in the community and fathers in the community over at McAdams. The whole celebration this week is at McAdams. So I'll be there for a little bit. It's fun and work because I'm helping organize the celebration. And then after that, I'll probably just be kicking back at the house.
Hey, I love it. Very good. It is time. You got to help me out with this as we wrap up here. And it is time to announce we have 5 individuals that have been registered for the ultimate KQAM Father's Day giveaway brought to you by Roden Roofing and Auburn Hills Wine and Spirits. Thanks again to those guys partnering up with us on this one. Roden Roofing, RHODEN roofing.com. Check them out for more information. Also, Auburn Hills Wine and Spirits. Visit them on Facebook for location and weekly specials when it comes to their great deals. Here's what you get if you win this: 4 ticket vouchers at the Kansas City Royals game of your choice. 4 of them. Take the family. Have a good time. 4 tickets to the Wichita Open Golf Tournament. 2 tickets to 81 Speedway's race of your choice. Their season goes through October. You got plenty of time, buddy. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, 2 tickets to the Wichita Wingnuts game July 4th that include the fireworks at the end of the game. So, my friend, you get to choose number 1 through 5. What's your favorite number? Which one's going to win this?
Well, I hope the other 4 don't hate me. Let's
No
go with
pressure.
number 3.
Number 3 is going to be Aaron Keeley, my friend. You won it. Congratulations to you for the KQAM Ultimate Father's Day giveaway. We'll get your information and get you on here. But, Aaron, congratulations for that victory. Brandon, it's always good to talk to you, my friend.
Glad to be here. I'll be back more often.
We'll do it. We'll get you back in here more frequently and talk about some of this stuff. Got to take a break. 10 minutes at the top of the hour. This is The Voice of Reason.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Welcome back in. Wrapping up the show today. Thanks again to Brandon Johnson, City Council member for the City of Wichita, joining us. A lot of the issues happening at the city level. And being in my district, hey, you know what? I'm going to talk to my district representative for the City Council. It's just the way we roll, baby. 316-721-8255. It has been a crazy Friday, a free-for-all Friday. Also, a fried chicken Friday. You can smell the fried chicken already. You can think about it. You can taste it in your mouth already, and it's pretty fantastic. Brought to you by the Inman Harvest Cafe, 112 South Main Street. Give them a call, 620-585-6925. Katie, back on the line with us. It's been a few hours already, and I'm sure you guys have been hopping all around the place. And I got to ask, how many people ask for biscuits and gravy with maybe the chicken sprinkles all over top of it?
Nobody's ever asked me for that. Because we don't actually start frying the chicken until 10:30 or so, because we start at 11. We want it fresh.
Oh, nice and fresh, Ray. Yeah. Absolutely. One of these days, I may have to later in the day maybe try biscuits and gravy with the fried chicken. That would be kind of awesome.
We serve breakfast all day, so you could do that. Come in at noon and get biscuits and gravy with chicken sprinkles. I'd do that for you.
See, that would be pretty awesome. I love that. That with a piece of your bumbleberry pie, heaven, hello. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I love it. Well, being Friday today, you have the buffet from 11 to 1, the big buffet from 5 to 8 o'clock tonight. Remind us again what's going to be on the buffet table smorgasbord today.
So today we decided we were going to try and keep the oven off, so we had it on early this morning to do our biscuits and our turnovers and our bacon and stuff. But then we turned it off, so we're having chicken fajitas, And that's the chicken. It's the peppers and onions, and it's well seasoned, nicely done. And then we'll have tortillas out there. We'll have our homemade salsa. You'll be able to make your own chicken fajitas. So we'll have that. We also have baked beans. They're cooking in the roaster right now. And then we'll have Salisbury steaks, and they've got the mushroom gravy with the mushrooms in it, and then the grilled onions on top of that. So I'm really looking forward to fixing up my plate this afternoon if there's any left.
Oh, I'm sure. I got to say, I have not had Salisbury steak since probably, I don't know, since I was a kid. I don't remember the last time I even had Salisbury steak.
It's good.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like it. So you got plenty of the smorgasbord there, plus you have the free slice of pie today as well. What kind of pies do you have on the slate today?
So today we've got coconut cream, we've got chocolate mousse, that's real fluffy, we've got cookies and cream, blueberry cream cheese, peanut butter, custard, cherry, peach, and banana split.
That's what I'm talking about.
Lots of different choices.
Making it happen. Get that free slice of pie 5 to 8 o'clock tonight with that buffet. Make sure to grab it as soon as you walk in there when you get sat down. And as you mentioned before, I mean, this being harvest time, a lot of the farmers are extremely busy. They are hot, working in this 95-degree weather. I don't know how they do that because that would drive me nuts and it would be really hot. But they need just that nice, hearty meal, and this is the perfect way for them to swing by, take some time off, take a break, and be able to come out and have that nice buffet throughout the day today.
Yeah, if they can't take a break, and we understand that, just send somebody in, we'll pack it up to go. No problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you got to remind everybody as well, with some of those pieces of pie, having a scoop of ice cream on the top of it is kind of a great way to cool it down, and you guys do make your ice cream homemade.
We do, yeah, and it's with real ingredients, too. Like some places you go and they say they have homemade ice cream, but it's like homemade from a carton of who knows what, okay? So ours is milk, cream, eggs, sugar, vanilla, the end.
Done. Just like that.
Done.
Now, do you have like the hand crank thing where you sit on the bucket and you crank it?
Okay, so you're talking about stories about your dad, right?
That was our tradition. Yeah, that was our tradition with our 4th of July parties. We would have somebody during the party sitting and cranking the homemade ice cream, and then everybody would enjoy it by the time we ate dinner that night.